Hopefully he stays a bit
Hi
quiet.
everyone, it's Mandy here, and I'm here with the amazing Abby as promised. We've tried to do this 3 times, so that we met just a few months ago, and has just hit it off straight away. Well, I think so. Abby's super inspiring. She's a personal trainer. She was one of the leaders and the MC at the Life for Living event recently in Mallorca. And as soon as we met, we just really connected and I want to pass you over and just introduce yourself and tell us your story, babe.
Oh, well, I won't bore you too much with my personal story, but it's, I guess, well, I've been in wellness since the age of 16. I started in beauty therapy and then I moved to Australia. So I'm obviously originally from the UK. Moved to Australia where I guess my whole world was blown open, to be perfectly honest. And I developed a lot more as a person and was surrounded by some awesome people. But my own personal burnout journey inspired me to recognize the signs in myself and change my career path a little bit. I'd always been involved in personal training as well. I ran it alongside parallel with beauty and then restudied in Australia to up my skills again because it's a never-ending journey of learning when it comes to the body and the mind. And personal development as well on the side of that. I learned a lot being around, again, like I say, did some life coaching stuff, started to apply simple things to my life, removing certain relationships and sort of checking in with myself. And I'd never really known that. I was a very typical sort of Southeast London girl. And I had a bit of an attitude about me that is completely acceptable there, but when you live in different parts of the world, you kind of have to adjust, and that's what traveling brings as well. But now I reside in Mallorca, have a baby, and work with my partner Dominic, who's a correctional exercise specialist, currently just doing some rehab on someone at the moment from a yacht. And we have built a company called Active Atlas that is more about rehabilitation and teaching people and educating them in their own bodies. It's not, making them skinny or muscly. There's different trainers for that. It's about really getting them to connect with themselves and their minds through exercise, because it sort of saved me. So yeah, that's it really.
And that's so important too. And I think, because many of the people watching this series are on boats this season, they're in confined spaces, they're super busy. I know you've done some time working on boats, as I have as well. So we get it. We know, I know when I was going through my burnout and my stress, and I was really overworked and had no time, and people would say, "Oh, do you do yoga and meditation?" I'm like, "No, I do not. I don't have time." And people would say like, "Well, maybe you should exercise more." And I was actually probably running too much
Yeah.
and using jogging and exercise as nearly a form of punishment and escapism.
Yeah.
And it was causing my body more stress. So if you were to give the guys watching, especially those people that are in the middle of the season in a private villa or working on private jets or on a super yacht cruising around, limited time, limited space, what could be like something they could do for 5 to 10 minutes a day that could really change their mindset and help their body?
So this is, I guess, because I've worked on the yachts myself, I realized that in a very I actually tried to keep up with exercise and stuff. And what I was finding is that the overexertion in one dimensional plane of movement. So like say we're running up and down stairs constantly. The last thing you want to do when you've got 10-minute, your 2-hour break, if you're on a big enough boat and you're lucky enough to have that, is that giving someone a 30-minute to an hour's workout it's not happening. So so I adapt to, and it's very hard for me to, I would say more like breathing exercises, but it becomes very personal. I look after a couple of people at the moment that are currently mid-season, that it's more about checking in with them, getting them to do certain exercises, but it's very small movements, and it's more about just kind of reconnecting to your body. Again, like you say, it doesn't have to be overexertion or underexertion. So overexertion could be, you're running up and down the stairs and you're working to, you're exhausted basically. And then underexertion is not actually doing stuff that is correct for yourself in a different way. So it's just about making sure that the person has something that's pretty individual, because I have tried to create, I guess, it's not really cookie cutter. It's very hard. So we have to look, we talk a lot about maybe more spinal health, because that affects everything. So if your spine is not in good condition, it can affect your breathing, that can affect your digestive system, that can affect your brain, that can affect your choices. So I'd probably say going with more awareness about when you're working, how you're holding your physical body. You know, are you standing up straight? Are you bearing in mind that your spine, are you putting your weight into just one feet? When you're standing for long times, are you getting lower back pain? Are you getting upper back pain? So it really depends on the person. And the further I've got into it, it's so hard. So I'd probably maybe say breathing and doing some posterior chain work. Posterior chain is running down the whole back of us, and it's what we really forget about. We start to carry the world on our shoulders, and that it definitely happens on boats for sure, in small spaces.
So can you just explain what that means? It's like positive chain work?
Posterior chain. So your posterior chain is the whole back of you. So a lot of people, as I say, like posture is like one of the biggest things, how we hold ourselves, how we present ourselves. You know, what can happen is that even if you're not looking after your spine correctly, or literally the back portion of you, and you start to hunch over, it has a negative impact on everything. It has a negative, you know, as we say, like people are more aware of it now with phones, that people are like, sorry, Ruben's having a little move around. When people are on their phones, you know, we're looking down. It's about making sure that when you take some time, maybe when you're going to sit and eat your lunch, for example, in the crew mess, sitting up, holding onto your core, being consciously aware of your body. Don't just sit there, eat your food and be unaware of yourself, because you're not giving yourself any kind of mental break. But I know we live in a day and age where we're addicted to our phones, connecting and everything else, but just taking time, sitting up, taking 3 deep big breaths and filling your diaphragm, because your diaphragm is also a muscle, you know. That's why breathing is so important. And if we're not exercising those muscles, it also impairs our ability to take in oxygen, and then our brain is impaired, we lower moods and everything. So, yeah.
So could you just take, like, I kind of want to do a little, I wasn't planning this, so I'm going to throw you in the deep end, but let's just work together and put both our superpowers together. So could you just take 2 minutes to just talk me through sitting up straight and taking a couple of breaths, and then I'm going to give people a little bit of a mental activation to say as well. Do you want to try that together?
No worries. So making sure that you're sitting nice and comfortably, put your feet, place them on the floor, about hip width apart. So then I want you to elevate your chest, bring your chest up. So you're sitting nice and straight, but then I also want you to hold onto your core. So you're going to kind of breathe in, draw your belly button into your spine is the kind of traditional way of saying it, but really sort of elevating yourself and sitting upright, and also being aware of where your neck's in position. Is it in neutral? Is it jutted forward? So you need to sit up nicely, your eye level, looking straight ahead. You can close your eyes if you want to, and just hold in there, and then squeezing on your abs. Just hold in there for a second, and then take a big deep breath in. So big deep breath in. Try and feel the stomach, try and feel your diaphragm, and then slowly and controlled, try and exhale your breath. So really, really counting. So give it about 5 seconds, and then releasing your breath. And just doing a couple of those. You're engaging with your muscular structure, you're engaging with your core, you're engaging with your posture, and all these things that, even in terms of, this is why physical health and mental health, they go hand in hand. You know, it's about that if your physical form isn't feeling at its best, the mental starts to go with it as well. Not to say that everyone needs to go and do a marathon or anything, you know, that's personal preference.
No, and that's the beauty of it. So, you know, by going through that exercise and sitting up straight and taking a breath, and just like Ab said, be, you know, conscious awareness of your state. And you do, like, one thing I teach in the medical training is when I'm talking about the Dr. ABC, which you should all know, and I talked about this in the presentation we all did together, is if you're sitting like that, do that now and try and have a breath. Then sit up straight and have a breath. Now sit up like Abby just got me to do and have a breath, and see what a difference that just makes to your body and how you get oxygenated. And we want to feed the brain with oxygen. And the other bit I would like to put on there is, just for a little bit more emotional wellness and stability, is do abs exercise and then just say to yourself, I am here now. and just stop everything, stop all the busy thoughts and the monkey mind, and just do exactly what Abby just told us to do, and then just center yourself in your thoughts and just say, I am here now, and just be aware of your breath. You know, it doesn't have to be a hippie thing or a weird thing. It's that simple, right?
Yeah, it's simple body-mind connection, and being aware of that. Even, you know, we're all guilty of it, I think, in terms of negative talk, and negative talk comes in all different realms. Whether you're, what I've noticed about kind of the crew element is that close proximity, say in a normal job, if you want to call it, yachting is a very unique circumstance. But, you know, if someone was in London working in an office and you have a colleague that, you know, you feel like they're a little bit on you and it's a little bit stressful and you sat at your desk all day, you might go to the gym after work and then you go home and you speak to your spouse openly, or your family or whoever, and you have that without realizing you have that level of, I can't think of a word, but to allow it to be lifted off your shoulders. Yeah. And obviously within the yachting communities, because you're living in these confined spaces, you're going to work, but you're at work and you live at work. And so there's no, and if you've got a back-to-back charter, back-to-back season, and you've got to push because you have to pull together for the team, it's very easy to forget about yourself, which I completely understand. And all of this stuff, I think, again, like you said earlier, someone saying do yoga for an hour. Some people have the discipline to do that, for sure, but that also takes practice. So just as you're doing, which is great, just these like 5-minute chats or to kind of create and generate that awareness. It doesn't have to be much, but I think also there's the ability, the kind of, like you say, that it doesn't have to be completely spiritual. It can also be, you know, it's just connected. You have a body, you have a mind, like it's just being aware of it. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, it's, and that in turn makes us feel better.
Yeah. All people need, you know, the brain feeds on oxygen.
Absolutely. And that's why, again, even in exercise, yoga is probably the best example that I use for people, because sometimes, I mean, obviously, you know, I'm doing a retreat, and I didn't want to just, you know, I didn't just want to go, right, I'm just doing yoga. And the reason being is because all movement is, you need to, if you want to progress in movement, you have to connect with your breath regardless. Even if you're doing a push-up, you're not going to learn to do more push-ups if you don't control your breathing, because your body has to work in unison. If you're, and that's just to perform an exercise correctly. I do a lot of strength and conditioning work with heavy weights. You can't lift a heavy weight up without using your breath. It's impossible. And you cause your body damage. So even, I know that's using kind of a gym terminology, but imagine you're at work on a boat and you're picking up extremely heavy boxes. It's not unheard of, and I deal with a lot of people, and Dom does, that putting their backs out, like, and just merely because you're so unaware of what you're doing, because you're being pushed, you have to work really hard. You're knackered, which affects your cognitive behavior. So, you know, and again, being aware of how sleep deprivation and burnout affect your adrenal fatigue, adrenal glands that sit above your kidneys, that can be completely out of whack. And no matter what you do, you need to actually go into a state of rest to allow your body to recover from it. And recognizing that's quite hard. You know, people just think, oh, I'm tired. And it's like, you're not. You're like, actually, you've gone past the point and you've pushed too much. Yeah. So, I mean, there's so much to it.
Yeah, but, you know, without going into this rabbit hole, you know, you don't need to learn all this stuff and go and research adrenal fatigue. If you're having more than, you know, 3 cups of coffee a day, if you're overtired, or I know when I went into burnout, I went into overdrive. I was in a fight or flight. I didn't sleep much, and I was actually thinking, oh my God, I'm on fire. But actually, I was in burnout mode and not getting enough sleep, and you know, in fighting to survive. And so, you know, and I think anyone that's out there working on a boat or in the middle of a season now, there's a good chance that you've got some adrenal fatigue. It's not a diagnosis. It doesn't have to be a thing. No. Just take 5 minutes, 3 or 4 times a day, to just stop, get it together, check in with your posture, remind yourself you're just here now, stop thinking, and just, like Ab said, breathe. And seriously, those little steps, you know, even if you could set an alarm on your phone and have a little chime going beep, beep every hour or two, and it just to go, where's my body at? Let's have a breath. And, you know, I know it's a joke these days when people say just breathe. And when I was in burnout and adrenal fatigue, when someone said just breathe, Amanda, I seriously considered punching them in the nose. But
you need to learn in the right regard.
It can just be super simple, and that's all it takes to make some massive shifts and get out of that fight or flight.
Yeah. And I mean, Dom and I have been actually on board to do a workshop regarding this, and it was more about, it's a lot more in depth and we'd need a lot more time, but again, it goes back to spinal health, and also more about how you can set your cabin up is a good tip I'd give people. You need to, because of the sleep deprivation that can and is very common, and being aware of how your sleep, you can educate, like you just said, you don't necessarily have to know the ins and the outs, but it doesn't mean that can in turn have a negative impact on the way you think as well. So it's about, if you can't set an alarm, perhaps go into bed, you know, if you struggle to wind down and switch off. Another tip that I gave people was using binaural beats, which is quite nice. It's very soothing. Yeah. They're really cool. The waves, you know, the way they impact the brain, and you have to wear a headset for that. It's not like you can be in your cabin and switch it on and annoy your cabin mate. You know, you can get into bed and try and switch off and go to sleep under this. Again, if you don't want to check in with your body, at least check in with allowing yourself just to sort of still your mind, so that you kind of, because it is intense, like, you know, it's a very intense, unique environment, and you can feel, I could see how people can feel imprisoned by their own mind at times. That's, you know, that if you feel like you've got no outlet. So it's, again, it's just, as you say, you're just teaching people, this might work for someone, something else might work, you know, and it's about, like you said, I can't necessarily give a one size fits all. That's what's very hard.
No, totally.
You know, and you want to, because you're like, right, just do this and it'll be like, everything's going to be okay, but it's not. One thing works for me, something else works for someone else.
Yeah. No, beautiful advice. So good. So, how do people find you and Dom? What are you guys doing? What are your plans for the next few months? If people want to reach out to you, and you did mention before that you're working with some people that aren't in Palma and they're away on a boat at the moment, so that there's a bit of offline, online support as well. Can you just tell us what you do and how people can find you?
So we've got a company called Active Atlas, and that started when we sort of collided together, I guess, and it's in terms of our passion for helping people and supporting people. You know, a lot of people that we know become our friends in a lot of regards, you know, because we're here when it's a small place, but we also like to support people outside of. So we're also involved in creating a retreat, going back on kind of what we were saying. My passion is to kind of encourage, and I guess because we work with Yacht Crew, that's how it's happened naturally, is that to get people to take that time after the season, because of things like burnout. It's very tempting once they've got the cash flow and that big, nice, chunky check and freedom to do whatever they want, to go and start drinking lots and maybe even doing a lot of retail therapy, which is, you know, no one's here to say don't do that. But just giving yourself a little bit of downtime just to disconnect and reconnect is kind of what I'd really like people to do. So in October we're doing a little retreat in a beautiful finca in Mallorca, and I'm so excited. With the combination of everything, you know, it's not, as I say, it's not one thing or the other. The other stuff that we do, which is really important, again, once after the season, and Dom specialises in this, is rehab work. People with back problems, people with, you know, broken bones that they might have, or not, again, going back to, you know, if you're not going to do these things whilst you're working, usually people come off the boats with something that's maybe a disalignment. So again, we work with people, and we also have aligned with other health professionals on this island, so that we always work within our realm and then refer. I mean, if you work in medicine, you have to do that, you'll know that. And online support, we develop programs, periodization programs, so that people can work towards a goal, and match that with the lifestyle. So it's not, you know, you can jump online and find a workout, but a lot of people need one-on-one. We need to learn and assess you and find out where you're at, and that's what we do. So we've got, I guess, our page, Active Atlas, and that's it. Yeah. Really.
Amazing. So when I post this video, it'll take a little while to get loaded up. But when it's there, I'll get you to pop your details underneath so everyone can find you nice and easily as well.
Cool.
Amazing. All right. Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
Really, I guess like in some ways it's not, you know, there isn't a one size fits all. My big thing that I, you know, as we mentioned in life is for living the event. And the main underlying message of those kind of things is that having emotions is part of being a human being, male or female. It's not, it doesn't, you know, and anxiety and depression have got such a stigma attached to them, but pretty much all of us go through some sort of, I like to call it a life wave. Some are more susceptible to it than others because I sort of believe it could be sensitive. You know, I'm quite a sensitive person, so I feel things sometimes maybe more. But I think it's just encouraging people to become more self-aware in what makes you happy and knowing that that's right for you. You know, again, it's not we're all in this together. No one's got the full answers because I wish I knew who they were. I'd be going to them, and that's it really.
Amazing. So beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your time, and can't wait to have more fun with you soon. We're going to be doing some more stuff together. I just know it. So, yay.
All right, well, I'm going to sing to this little one. All right, lovely. Thank you so much, and I'll speak to you soon, Amanda.
Thanks, and thanks, baby Rubes, for being such a
Oh, we love it. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.